Hello everyone. It's been longer than I intended. Time flies when you're having a time. I'm alright. I'm okay. You've seen my videos past. Honestly, things have been kind of difficult in terms of getting inspired and wanting to, I guess, commit myself in a way. But that is slowly changing. I'm slowly feeling myself feel more alive, feel more awake in terms of YouTube. And one thing, I mentioned this on my Patreon shout out, for me it's coming to terms with not trying to go back to normal, but adjust for a new normal. Once I made that mindset shift, things have started to become a little bit easier for me. Anyway, so one of my goals for this year was, instead of, starting 8 million new hobbies like I did last year, spent a lot of money, I wanted to use up the art supplies, because I have a lot of art supplies. Hello, working with preschoolers. I wanted to use up the art supplies that I had to make devotional art to the gods. This felt, I think it's fine to go out, obviously, and buy stuff for devotional art. But for me, where I'm at right now, it feels more meaningful for me to use what I already have. And like I said, I have amassed, if you will, maybe even hoarded a bit, a lot of art supplies over the years. So I have a lot to choose from, a lot of different mediums to choose from. February seemed like the perfect place to start with Aphrodite. I don't feel like I need to say why that's the case, but, Valentine's Day. I could probably do a whole video, spiel, rant, whatever, about my feelings on Valentine's Day. Long and short of it, not very positive. Even though I am in a great long-term partnership, I find the holiday itself to be largely steeped in the beginnings of capitalism as we know it in the Victorian age, which you all know. Dang Victorians. But that being said, I am a sucker for any sort of celebration, any sort of holiday. I mean, I'm wearing these nice pink pants. I painted my nails. I'm probably going to wear red and stuff and make a cute little cake. I'm not going to go out and buy roses. Not what I'm interested in. So anyway, Aphrodite, obviously, goddess of love. I have a whole video about her for you to look at where I go into all of the nuances of that. To start off with, I don't actually have footage of me making this piece. The reason for that being that I did this during a crafting day with my friends, which was really great. And I didn't want to have to worry about angles and lighting and, obviously I want to ask my friends for their consent. And I didn't want to turn it into a work thing. That's kind of another thing I'm trying to do, is making art and stuff that's not just for content or whatever. For a long time, I actually struggled sewing because I briefly tried to do a sewing channel before this one. And it just sucked the joy out of it. So I didn't want to have to worry about that. Also, I was using air dry clay, and I last used this air dry clay for my Taiki video, which was about almost 2 years ago now. I'll link that above as well. And that used a lot of air dry clay. However, obviously I didn't end up using all of it. And as people are wont to do with hobbies, ADHD, waxing and waning, I just kind of set the clay aside. And I was really worried that it was going to super dry out and just not work. But I found that by adding a lot more water and spending a lot of time mixing it up, that it actually worked out. All right, I was worried because sometimes if you add a lot of water to air dry clay, it has a bunch of cracks in it. But surprisingly, Aphrodite didn't have any cracks in her at all. This was definitely a very small scale project, so I wasn't sure how I was going to do. In fact, I started and stopped like 8 million times, set it aside, tried something else, and then eventually, scrolled on Reddit and did Sudoku, and then I went back to it and I was like, no, I'm going to commit to this. It was very difficult to work with, not pliable initially air dry clay, but it all worked out. So one thing when I was making this that was difficult was lips. I like lips, which is the problem, but I struggle to draw them. I struggle to make them by clay. I struggle sometimes to put lipstick on my own lips without going over the vermilion border, which is this thing right here. They always look for me like they've got a little bit too much filler in them. Like I have, come here, girl. Here she is. So here is Taiki. She is we had a large scale project for her. Like she's very heavy, which is why I'm leaning back slightly because I don't want her to tip over. You can see with her lips, they're kind of pouty. Same deal. You'll also notice Aphrodite's eyes are also closed. That may be because I don't feel comfortable making eyes open, especially on a really small scale. I probably could have tried on Taiki, but that's just where I'm at artistically, and I'm okay with that. I think my lips on Aphrodite ended up actually a little bit better, maybe because they're on a smaller scale, so they're kind of blended more, but I was able to use, I actually used a nail e-file, probably not recommended. But I used that to kind of sand down Aphrodite and really get into those grooves because clay is really annoying. It's trying to smooth it out. Hello. So I've finished the white underlayer and now I have to do something I've never done before. Mixing skin tone colors. My cat is also unfortunately on my Target bag of craft supplies. When I've done it before, I just said I haven't done it, but I've done it with like markers and crayons, and usually it ends with them being like too pink or too yellow or too red. Yeah. We'll see. Alright, but I need you off. Time to break the law. I just need this. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. So close. So these are the colors I have. I'm gonna do some quick Google search and mix some of these together in my palette, and we'll go from there. Also, yes, I know I'm filming on a couch, but what you gonna do? We're getting somewhere. Pretty good. It's a little orange. So I'm gonna go through and I have these for different highlights and lowlights, which hopefully give her depth. We'll see. Man, people are hard, man. Here she is. Lowlights, highlights, clean up where the skin color got and everything else. I think now I'm gonna go for her hair. I gotta think about what I want. So this is what I was worried about. I hate lips, cheeks. I do this to myself sometimes. Just more paint. Much better. Still gotta fix her vermilion border. And maybe take those cheeks down on, yeah, no, blend the cheeks more. Up for the day. Let her dry. Start with her outfit either later today or tomorrow. just woke up, hear the team behind me. The reason I'm filming is I was letting Aphrodite dry, and I was having her dry face down so the bottom, stop smacking that ornament. Having her dry face down so the bottom could dry. And I looked, honestly. And she has a tiny bit of blue on her nose, and it took her so long to mix this skin color. Other than that, I just gotta paint. Whatever, I guess I'll mix it up just in case I get more, and then I'll... I don't wanna. My goodness, it's just... She's so close to being done.
Feeling stressed about how you mess up your painting? That's why we have today's sponsor, Aura. Anything that I've been struggling about here on the channel, whether that's burnout, depression, anxiety, sleep, one thing that has always come in clutch, as I say, is Aura. Aura is a new mindfulness and sleep app that is used by over 7 million people and has won the Best of Apple award. I've used many apps to improve myself and improve my mental health over the years, but nothing has stood out to me as much as Aura has. As opposed to a one-size-fits-all, it's got so many different things: hypnosis, breathwork, prayer, stories, ASMR, and many more. For 2025, I'm doing a 30-day meditation challenge. I find that I enjoy meditating right before I go to bed to set intentions for the next day, and I can muse upon them as I fall asleep. I've curated a 30-track playlist just for this journey, and I encourage you to join me on it. Many of my tracks are hypnoses and intention settings and affirmations to say to yourself before you fall asleep. And those that use my code will get a 7-day free trial and an exclusive 25% off of Aura. Join me on this 30-day challenge and listen along to my playlist, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Again, join me on this 30-day challenge. There's a 7-day free trial, and let's sleep better and have more intentional days. Thanks again to Aura for sponsoring this video.
So much lighter than Tyke. Okay, I'll probably get some close-ups of her. I'll show you some. So I based the design of Aphrodite on French hoods. If you've ever seen a picture, well, a painting of Anne Boleyn, you've seen a French hood. That's kind of that look. Sometimes it's got with 2 points. They're also called hennins. A hennin, if you've seen a stereotypical image of a princess with a big cone and the fabric coming out, that's also a hennin. I had actually considered that one, but I was like, that's much more structurally complicated than a French hood. The French hoods were kind of often worn by royalty. They were heavily decorated. And the really structured headdresses that Greek statues are often seen wearing, they're also heavily decorated. And I don't know, it just kind of, I've talked about this before with art, where I just kind of let the art go where it wants me to go. So I decided to build her a little hennin here. So she's got a French hood style, and then she's got a little cap underneath because they want to just wear that bare on their hair, and then some fabric in the back kind of going around. And I like the way of the fabric in the back going straight down, so I kind of curved it around. It reminded me a little bit of Aphrodite or Venus rising out of the foam in many of the Botticelli and all of those depictions. So I wanted kind of have that same vibe with Aphrodite here, the blue where the fabric encompassing her. I actually didn't know I was gonna do blue initially. I put out a poll to my patrons. The options were kind of like yellow or blue. Blue, actually, light blue won out in the end, and I actually really like the way that looks because it kind of reminds me of like the sea, and obviously Aphrodite is also a sea goddess. I think the most difficult thing for me about this was painting the skin color. As you can see, I had a lot of issues with that. It's just really hard to paint any sort of skin color that doesn't end up too green, too red, too pink, too jaundiced. So I'm actually really impressed. I did a lot of Google research, which is why it looks, I think, decent. And then the makeup was hard because I ended up putting up a little too much on, as you can see. And then naturally I added a little bit of gold because gold is associated with pretty much every Greek deity. And also just kind of a sign of royalty, and I you know, it's something she deserves. I had considered adorning her face or putting more makeup on, but in the end I just settled for nice rouge, and I did, you can't really tell, but I did paint a lot of highlights and lowlights on her as well to give her face more dimension, and I did give her a little bit of liner. It was definitely different from painting this to painting Tyche, where Tyche is painted kind of a marble white. But ancient Greek statues, as we now know, and I have mentioned many times in videos, we know now that ancient Greek statues were often painted, not just painted, but they were painted rather gaudily or garishly. They were very bright colors. And I had the privilege and opportunity a couple years ago to go to my local museum where they have this cool camera that you can scan over their statues, and they show what their conservators found to be believed that they were painted. It's really, really cool. And I was inspired by that to paint a statue that's not just alabaster white and paint something that was unique. This is kind of the first in my project of art. Hello, sir. Please watch what you're doing. Okay. But anyway, so this is the first of my project of art here. I'm really excited. I have some paper media that I was going to do initially, but then I kind of decided that it didn't really... I was getting too much in my head about this, but this was a really nice way to kind of push myself, and even when I was struggling, just be like, no, this is what I am making. I'm going to let the art happen. It's okay if it's imperfect. And honestly, I'm really proud of this. Like, it's not, you know, I'm not even gonna say it's not perfect, but, you know, like, I approve with those lips. I managed to paint the dang lips and not have them look too clownish in the end. And this was a lot of delicate work, and my camera died, but I'm gonna keep talking. There's a lot of delicate work, and I'm really proud of myself in the end. So I hope, you know, in the end, maybe this will inspire you a little bit. Come in a short, sweet video, and thanks to Aura, the sponsor for today's video. Really just trying to connect to my art, connect to myself, connect to everything, connect to why I do this in the first place has actually been really helpful. And for the first time in a long time, I'm feeling excited about it. So thank you all. Thanks to my patrons. Thanks to everyone for supporting me over these years. And I hope you're having a great, wonderful new year and a great Valentine's Day. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.
Shout out to my patrons Annie Nagel, Akeda Hakubi, Grumpy Grandpa, Little Raven, Thistle, Anarcho Witch, Charles Schneider, Ember Kelly, Iris, Mrs. Porcius, Thanatos, Ghoul, and Tiny Atlas.